granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Hello. Well, they're going to have to start rewriting all those James Bond scripts. What you're going to have to see is you're going into the cinema and you'll see a lot of people there in front of TV screens watching videos of cars going past for hours and hours and hours, because that's how the Israelis managed to find Khamenei at the right time. Now, a lot of people have been speculating that somehow the high-ups, the elite in Iran, they all went to the same doctors and dentists, and these doctors and dentists were Mossad operators, and they were implanting trackers into their tooth fillings or their alimentary canals or whatever. And they were doing this, and that's how they find Khamenei. No, none of that high-tech stuff. It was simply people like this or like that in front of cameras watching the traffic cams. Israel hacked Tehran's traffic cameras to spy on Khamenei. Mossad agents spent years surveilling city network to locate Iran's supreme leader and disrupt phone lines. That's his compound before, and that's the compound after. That's a pretty good job of demolition, isn't it? Israel hacked nearly all of Tehran's traffic cameras to spy on Ali Khamenei before launching an attack to kill Iran's supreme leader. So it means that they could have done this months ago or even years ago. Now, whether they decided themselves that they couldn't kill a head of state just like that, or the Americans told them that they shouldn't do it, I don't know. But they didn't, and they probably had his life in their hands for months, if not years. Israeli spies, and by spies, you see, what they were army personnel sitting in front of TV cameras for hours and hours and hours, watching his habits when he went out, when he came back, the sort of pattern that people do develop. The Ayatollah's bodyguards, they spent years surveilling the Ayatollah's bodyguards by accessing the Iranian capital's traffic camera network. Operatives were even reported to have hacked a security camera facing Khamenei's compound that showed where security guards would park their cars. I have heard that earlier on, the elite had mobile phones, but they became worried that they'd be tracked by that, so they stopped carrying mobile phones. The problem was they didn't realise, or they didn't think about it, their bodyguards did have mobile phones. And so if you knew which bodyguards were assigned to which clerics, you'd know, if you could hack the system, you'd know where the clerics were. The camera enabled spies to know when that's the camera opposite the compound, when the Ayatollah would be at home. And it also, they had some technology to disrupt mobile phone service around his compound, so aides wouldn't be able to call for help in case of an ambush. As it turns out, they didn't ambush, they just dropped a missile over it. I'll stop that, it's distracting. So they did that. They got rid of Khamenei, and they have also got rid of his successors, because there was a meeting of the successors, 88 of them apparently, in this building here, or what used to be a building, and the Israelis knew they were meeting there to elect a new supreme leader, and they bombed the place as well, which means they were keeping an eye on these guys and their bodyguards as well. And you can't regard this as the end of the story, because the way that Khamenei the original Ayatollah Khamenei, managed to take over after he'd been helped into power by the socialists, the bloody fools. He called on his troops who had been planning, they were also meticulous in their planning, for years. And they were using mosques. I told you in my last video that mosques weren't holy places, and definitely these mosques were devil's kitchens. They stored arms there and then they came out as soldiers for Islam. Now, you might think that sooner or later these guys might see sense and decide at least to reach an accommodation with the Americans or Israel or whatever. But it doesn't work like that. And I want to show you this. This guy here, this nice-looking man, very respectably dressed, obviously a cleric, somebody who believes in God of a sort, but believes it's obvious that his whole purpose of existence is the destruction of Israel. It's not a focus on God, it's a focus on genocide, and that's his religion by the looks of things. I'll play you the interview and I'll read it out because some of you won't be watching the screen. Right, hang on a minute. I was just checking that the microphone was on. All right, so this is Ali Khamenei, Ayatollah Khamenei's grandson.
الإسرائيليون يعرفون
The Israelis know full well
بدقة ويعرفون أن
that if a day comes when any Islamic nation is capable of firing missiles at Israel,
الشعب الإسلامي إذا يأتي يوم وهو قادر على قصف إسرائيل وعلى ضربة
and striking Israel, and if they are capable of erasing Israel, so this isn't just subduing Israel, they want to just obliterate everything in that country. Humans, animals, countryside, they don't care. He wants to erase the place.
على إسرائيل وعلى إذا كانوا قادرين على إزالة إسرائيل سيفعلون.
If they had the capability of erasing Israel, they will do to Israel what Hamas did to it. So he is thinking only of the cruelty, viciousness, and extreme brutality of what Hamas did as something that is to be planned on, thought of, and desired. He looks so civilized. It's next to impossible to imagine that these words are coming out of that man's face. All right, now they'll do to Israel what Hamas did to it.
مع إسرائيل ما فعله حماس.
كل الشعوب الإسلامية.
And then this fellow here, the interviewer, says, all the Islamic nations, and Ali Ahmed said, all of them. So he's pretty sure that all the Arabs around will, when they have the capability, get together to destroy Israel and kill everybody there. Or take some of them into slavery, of course, because, again, if you look at a lot of television programs in that area coming from Iran, usually, but not always, you will find scholars today, in these days, talking about how if a Muslim army wins a battle, then they are perfectly legitimate to take slaves of the people they've captured, or the survivors.
كل الشعوب الإسلامية
So he says, yeah, all of them. And then Ali Ahmed says, yes, all of them. And then he continues, today we see that some countries in the
إذا
region
نرى أن بعض الدول المنطقة لا يعملون
are not fulfilling their duty. So, you see, he sees this program of annihilation as a duty,
بواجبهم لعلهم
saying they're incapable of doing so.
يقولون وحتما يقولون نحن لسنا بقادرين على ذلك وإسرائيل يعلم.
And then he continues, Israel knows, America knows,
وأمريكا يعلم
and the leaders of the superpowers know.
والقادة في الدول الكبرى يعلمون أن الدول
That if a day comes when the Islamic countries are capable of bombing Israel, and obviously he's not particular about the sort of bombs they use, but we know that the Iranians were pursuing a nuclear program.
الإسلامية إذا جاء يوم وهم قادرون على قصف إسرائيل سيقصفون.
Okay, so when they become capable of bombing Israel, they will do it. And of course, he would be including his own country in this as well.
يعني دول خليجية.
And then the interviewer asks, you mean the Gulf countries, the Arab countries, and Islamic countries?
والعربية كاملة
كل
والإسلامية.
الشعوب الإسلامية.
And then Ali Ahmed says, all the Arab nations.
نحن لا نخاف.
We are not afraid of... Now, there was a break there. So I'm assuming here, you see that, I think there was a break. And so I think he might have been asked other questions. He says, we're not afraid of them at all. And I'm assuming he was talking about America and Israel.
أصلا منهم لأنه
Because, he says, we're not afraid of them because we're steadfast.
نحن صامدون نحن ندافع.
And we are defending our rights and our country. He's not defending his rights and his country. He's thinking only about annihilating a country that's 2,000 miles away, kilometers away. Okay, so he says we're defending our rights and our country.
عن حق وندافع عن بلدنا ونقول.
There was a cut there, so I don't know what was said. We say to the Americans,
أنتم تموتون.
You will die before you see us humiliated. Well, he's thinking of his colleagues, himself, his clerics being humiliated, not the average Iranian people who loathe. Many of them just loathe these people. I don't know whether you've seen the videos. There are lots of videos in which young people just come up behind a cleric that's walking along and they knock their turbans off and then they scamper away. Obviously, some of them are ideologically captured, but many of them just loathe these clerics and the religion they represent. He knows that. He has to know that. He must know what's going on with his turban knocking business. But all he can think about, his entire focus of life, is obliterating Israel. Well, you know, Saudi Arabia, which apparently has been pestering Trump to do something about Iran as well, by the way, because MBS knows that if Iran succeeded in turning Israel into a radioactive desert, once Israel is out of the way, Iran will turn its attention to rival religious countries like Saudi Arabia. MBS knows that. All the Saudis know that. Iran has been causing all sorts of trouble in Saudi. There's a terrible water problem in Iran because of mismanagement, nepotism, and carelessness, and a concentration on destroying Israel and the West instead of building proper water resources. And this guy here, a respectable man, a religious man, all he can think about is genocide. That's all that's on his mind. The very thing that his bots accuse Israel of, or Netanyahu, or whatever. Anyway, yeah. That's why the Israelis and the Americans and now the Saudis are trying to deal with this. How successful they're going to be, I don't know. Because the ideology has metastasized. Is that the right word? Anyway, it's not just in one cancerous lump in the middle, which has been excised here. That's not it. It's all over Iran, in the mosques. And there are Basij all over the place. Many of them are Pakistani and Afghani. But they are murderers who murder for the sake of Allah. And they're all over Iran. And to get rid of them, you will need a militia, the Iranian militia, to switch sides. And I'm not seeing any sign of that so far, so I'm a little bit worried about this. But certainly something had to be done. I just hope it gets done properly. Right, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.